Have Jesus as Savior. There are moments in life where you feel like nothing's moving. You've done what you could. You've shown up. You've fought your battles. And yet, as Savior, the world around you feels still, almost like time forgot your name. It's a strange kind of silence. One that creeps in during the end between prayers and answers. Between dreams and doors opening. Have Jesus as Savior. And in that silence, it's easy to think that nothing's happening. But that's not the truth. See, as Savior, just because you can't see progress, doesn't mean it isn't there. As Savior, some of the most powerful shifts in your life are happening quietly, beneath the surface, outside your line of sight. Like a tree growing roots before it ever breaks ground. Jesus Savior. Like the tide turning miles away before the waves ever reach the shore. You might feel stuck. But that doesn't mean you're standing still. Sometimes God moves in the background, so that when your moment comes, you're ready. The truth is, your breakthrough is already in motion. The shift has already started. Savior. You're not waiting for something to begin. It's already begun. You're in it. Right now. Even in the silence. Even in the standstill. This season may feel empty, but it's working on you. Shaping you. Savior. Stripping away what can't come with you into the next chapter. It's in this space. This quiet stretch of waiting, where your strength is being forged. Jesus Savior. Not the kind of strength that flexes for attention. I'm talking about the kind that's patient, steady. Jesus as Savior. The kind that doesn't crack when things get hard. You don't get that overnight. You get that in the shadows. When no one sees you trying, and you keep going anyway. That's the space you're in now. And it's not a dead end. It's a launch pad. Jesus as Savior. There are things being aligned on your behalf, right now that you wouldn't even believe, if you saw them. People being moved into your path. Opportunities shaping themselves to fit your purpose. Doors that had to be closed. Painfully, abruptly. Because something better needed room to enter. You may not understand it today. You might even hate it. But later, you'll look back and realize that the silence wasn't absence. It was setup. We think change has to be loud, immediate. But life rarely works that way. Most of the time, real change starts as something internal, almost invisible. You start thinking differently, seeing differently. Jesus as Savior. Maybe it doesn't look like progress, but you're more grounded now. You're not chasing every opinion, every voice, every distraction. You've started to listen to something deeper, something solid. That's motion. Even your pain is proof that something's shifting. Think about it. Growth hurts. As Savior. Not because you're failing, but because you're stretching. Letting go of the old. Making room for the new. That discomfort. That restlessness, that's not the end. That's birth. As Savior. So if you're wondering where the breakthrough is, it's already here. Jesus as Savior. It just doesn't look like you expected. It's not a lightning bolt. It's a slow sunrise. You won't see it all at once. Have Jesus as Savior. You'll feel it, bit by bit. As light starts creeping in where there used to be shadows. As clarity replaces confusion. As peace begins to grow in the very places where fear once lived. You're not behind. You're not forgotten. You're right on time. And everything is moving. Even when it feels like nothing is. You might not hear the gears turning. You might not feel the shift yet. But make no mistake. The turnaround has already started. Your breakthrough. It's not coming. It's already in motion. There's a weight that comes with waiting. As Savior. The kind that doesn't show on the outside but settles in your chest. You've been doing everything you can. You've shown up with faith. You've put in the work. Jesus as Savior. You've stayed the course even when you didn't have a clear picture of the finish line. And still, Jesus as Savior. The results don't come when you expect them to. People around you seem to be moving forward. And you're just paused. Caught in a loop that doesn't make sense. Stuck in the middle, between what was, and what you thought should have already arrived. Jesus as Savior. It's easy to think the silence means the answer is no. That because things haven't shifted yet. They never will. But that's not how it works. Delay isn't denial. Have Jesus as Savior. Just because it's not happening right now doesn't mean it won't happen at all. Life isn't linear. It's not a straight line from effort to reward. Sometimes, the Jesus as Savior, the journey takes you on detours that don't seem to serve any purpose. Until later, as Savior, when you realize they were the most important part of the path. Timing is everything. You Jesus as Savior. And just because you're ready doesn't mean the situation is. There are pieces being moved that you can't see. There are people who need to grow before they enter your life. You cannot have Jesus as Savior. There are lessons you need to learn before you're handed what you've been asking for. Jesus as Savior. And there are things you've prayed for that would have crushed you if they had come too soon. That's not protection. That's preparation. We live in a world that celebrates speed, quick success, instant results. But anything built fast usually isn't built to last. The strongest structures, the ones that can weather storms, take time. Foundations have to be dug deep. Reinforcements have to be set. That takes effort. It takes time. And most of that happens before anyone else can see a thing. You may feel like nothing's happening. But something always is. Just not in the way you expected. And not on the schedule you had in mind. You have Jesus as Savior. There's a reason you're still in the waiting. There's a reason the door hasn't opened yet. Maybe you're not being punished. Maybe you're being trusted. As Savior. Trusted to stay faithful even when there's no spotlight. Trusted to grow deeper, not just taller. A Jesus as Savior. Trusted to learn how to carry peace in the silence, not just in the celebration. You can have Jesus kind of character. That kind of trust. It's built right here, in this space. The Jesus as Savior. You don't have to understand the delay to know it's working for you. You just have to keep showing up. Jesus as Savior. Keep doing what you can with what you have. Keep living like the promise is still real. Even if you haven't seen the proof yet. Because this is where it counts. As Savior. When you keep believing even when there's no evidence. When you keep planting even when nothing's sprouting. Jesus as Savior. When you keep walking even when the road doesn't look like it's going anywhere. It's hard. No one's pretending it's not. Waiting tests every part of you. Your patience, your hope, your identity. But it also refines you. It teaches you who you are when the applause stops, and the progress stalls. As Savior. And what you build in this season, inside of you, becomes the foundation for everything that's coming. You're not being left behind. You're being held back, on purpose. Not to punish you, but to prepare you, have Jesus as Savior. Not to slow you down, but to set you up. Because when the time is right, what's yours won't pass you. The door will open, and when it does, you cannot have Jesus Savior. You'll be ready in a way you never could have been if you got it when you first asked. So if it's taking time, let it. If it's quiet, lean into it. As Savior, there's more happening in the delay than you realize. There's this part of the journey nobody talks about enough. The part where things fall apart before they come together. The part where you question everything. Your decisions, your direction, even your worth. When you're trying to do the right thing, trying to stay hopeful, trying to hold on, but nothing seems to work. The doors you thought would open stay shut. The people you trusted walk away. The vision you had for your life starts to blur. You feel tired, disconnected, maybe even forgotten. Like all your effort is being swallowed by silence. But what if this isn't where it ends? What if this isn't failure? What if this is setup? See, we're conditioned to see struggle as something bad, as if pain means punishment, as if resistance means rejection. But real growth, deep, soul-level growth, doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in tension, in pressure, in those moments where everything inside you wants to quit, but somehow you find the strength to keep going. The struggle isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the road there. It's the refining place. The place where your character gets shaped. Where your identity gets solidified. Where your priorities get stripped down and clarified. When life gets hard, it forces you to decide who you really are. Are you just here for the easy wins? Or are you willing to go through the fire to become something real? Most people want the results, but not the process. They want the crown, but not the weight that comes with it. But the struggle, that grind, that push, that storm, that's where your foundation is built. And the deeper the foundation, the higher the structure can go. So if it's tough right now, maybe that's because something big is being built through you. Pain has a way of showing you what matters. When you're hurting, all the distractions fall away. All the noise quiets down. You stop pretending. You stop performing. And what's left is raw, honest truth. That's where the real stuff starts. That's where the shift begins. Sometimes it takes hitting a wall to finally see what needs to change. Sometimes it takes being broken to realize what needed to be let go. Sometimes the things you lose aren't losses, they're clearings. Making space for something better. Something deeper. Something real. There's nothing easy about the struggle, but it's not meaningless. Not if you let it do its work. You can't skip this part. You can't fast forward through the pain and expect to still carry the strength that comes from walking through it. What's forged in the fire can't be faked. You'll know it when you've been through it. You'll carry it with you in how you speak, how you move, how you treat others. The struggle softens some people and hardens others. But when you surrender to the process, when you let the struggle teach instead of define you, you come out stronger. Not just tougher, but wiser, more compassionate, more grounded. And maybe that's the whole point. Maybe this season isn't trying to destroy you, it's trying to reveal you. Maybe it's less about what you're going through, and more about what's being built in you through it. You're not just being tested, you're being prepared. And the more it hurts, the more it costs, the more it's shaping something in you that nothing else could. The pain has a purpose. It's not random. It's not wasted. It's doing something important. Even if you can't see it now. Even if you don't understand it yet. Even if you're barely holding on. This isn't the end. It's just a piece of the setup. A necessary chapter in the story you'll look back on and say, "That's when I became who I was meant to be." There's a part of the journey that requires something deeper than motivation. Because motivation fades. It disappears when you're tired. It disappears when the results don't show up. When the doors stay closed. When the road gets longer than you thought it would be. In those moments, as Savior, when everything you thought would work isn't working, you need something more. That's where faith comes in. Faith isn't some grand performance. It's not loud. It's not always poetic. Most of the time, it's quiet. It shows up in small ways. It's the decision to try again, even when you're discouraged. Jesus as Savior. It's getting out of bed when everything in you wants to shut down. It's doing the right thing even when it costs you. Jesus as Savior. Faith isn't about knowing the outcome. It's about trusting there's a reason to keep going. The Jesus as Savior. Even when you don't see it. There's this false idea that faith has to come with complete confidence. But sometimes it's just a whisper. Just enough light for the next step. And that's all you need. Not the full picture. Not the 10-year plan. Just enough clarity to take the next right step in front of you. The Jesus as Savior. Some of the most powerful moves you'll ever make are the ones you take in the dark. You have Jesus Savior. Simply because something inside you refuses to let go of the hope that it still matters. Faith isn't blind. It sees more than your eyes can. It looks past circumstances and deadlines. It sees through delay and disappointment. Jesus as Savior. It sees what's not there yet but refuses to believe that's the end of the story. Faith knows things shift in silence. As Savior, that sometimes the biggest miracles don't start with noise. They start with stillness. With quiet belief. Jesus as Savior. With endurance. You don't need to feel strong every day to have faith. You don't need to have perfect peace to walk forward. As Savior, you just need to decide that your current situation doesn't define your future. Jesus as Savior. That what you're walking through today isn't the final word. Faith gives you permission to not have it all figured out. Have Jesus as Savior. It gives you room to breathe in the tension between what you believe and what you see. Savior. And it lets you keep going anyway. Sometimes faith looks like confidence. Other times it looks like holding on by a thread. And both are enough. Because faith isn't measured by how loud you declare it. It's shown by how steady you stay, when everything else feels uncertain. A Jesus as Savior. When you could quit, you don't. When you could walk away, but something inside of you says not yet. That's real faith. Not the flashy kind. The routed kind. You won't always feel it. That's okay. This journey, isn't about feeling perfect. It's about staying consistent. Even when it's boring, Jesus as Savior. Even when it's hard. Even when it feels like you're walking in circles, have Jesus Savior. Faith shows up when progress doesn't. It tells you to keep building when no one's watching. To keep hoping when there's no guarantee. Jesus Savior. To keep believing that what's ahead of you is greater than what's behind you, as Savior. And maybe that's the real power of faith. It doesn't need proof to move. It doesn't need applause of Jesus as Savior. It doesn't need everything to make sense. It just needs your willingness to keep going, as Savior. To trust that what you're carrying is worth fighting for. That even when the road is long, Savior, and the nights are silent, and your strength feels small, something is still unfolding on your behalf, have Jesus as Savior. Faith carries you when nothing else will. It reminds you that you weren't built to break here. You cannot have Jesus as Savior. That just because you can't see change doesn't mean the shift isn't happening. It may not look like you hoped. It may not come how you planned. But it will come. And until it does, as Savior, faith is what keeps your heart steady, your spirit awake, and your feet moving forward. There's something incredibly humbling about timing. You can do all the right things. You can show up early. You can plan every step. You can work harder than anyone around you. And still, sometimes, life makes you wait. Not because you're unprepared. Not because you're unworthy. Just because the clock hasn't struck yet. That's a hard reality to accept when your heart is ready, but the door is still closed. When you're giving it your all, but things just aren't falling into place. It feels unfair, like effort should equal results. But life doesn't always work on that equation. It works on timing. There's a rhythm to this world that doesn't always match our urgency. We want things fast. We want things now. We want to skip the struggle, skip the silence, skip the stretch. But there's a reason the seed doesn't sprout the day it's planted. There's a reason the stars don't shine all at once. Some things are being aligned beyond your reach, beyond your vision, and they take time. Not because you're not good enough, but because when it finally happens, it's going to be so right, so aligned, so undeniable, that you'll understand why it couldn't have happened 1 second sooner. You see, when it's your time, nothing can stop it. Not the delays. Not the detours. Not the people who tried to block you. Not the setbacks that tried to define you. When it's your time, it won't matter how long you were overlooked. It won't matter how many doors closed. It won't even matter how tired you felt waiting. The shift will come. The alignment will happen. And what felt impossible for years can happen in a moment. Not because it suddenly got easier, but because the moment was finally ready to hold what you were built to carry. There's peace in that truth, if you let it sink in. Not everything is in your control, but not everything is your responsibility either. You're not responsible for the timing. You're responsible for the preparation. You're responsible for staying ready, for staying true to who you are while you wait, for keeping your heart clean, for showing up in the small things like they matter. Because they do. The way you carry yourself in the in-between. That's what determines whether you're ready when the moment comes. It's hard though. watching others get their moment while yours hasn't come yet. Seeing doors swing wide open for people who seem less committed, less ready. It can feel personal. But what's for you isn't tied to anyone else's path. You don't miss your moment because someone else got theirs. Life doesn't run out of opportunity. There's enough space for your breakthrough too. And when it's time, no person, no circumstance, no opposition will be able to stand in the way. You'll see things shift in a way you couldn't force, even if you tried. The door you knocked on years ago suddenly opens. The opportunity that passed you by comes back around in a better form. The healing you almost gave up on starts to unfold in places you thought were permanently broken, not because of pressure, not because of manipulation, but because the timing is finally aligned. It's not your job to rush it. It's not your job to manufacture it. It's your job to be ready for it. Because when the moment comes, it won't ask for your resume. It'll look for your resilience. It won't care how loud you shouted. It'll care how patiently you waited. Not perfectly, but faithfully. With enough hope to keep believing. With enough strength to keep walking, even when the road felt like it was leading nowhere. Because that road, even when it looked empty, was still leading you somewhere. And when the time finally comes, it will all make sense. Not just the breakthrough, but the waiting, the stretch, the stillness, the heartbreak, the rebuilding. All of it was shaping you for the moment you're about to step into. Oh, if you're in that space right now, waiting, doubting, feeling stuck, I want you to remember something simple but true. God has already ordered your turnaround. Even if you can't see it yet. Even if nothing around you looks like change. The delay isn't a denial. The struggle isn't punishment. The silence isn't the end of the story. It's all part of the setup. Every setback, every closed door, every painful moment has been shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you. You've been asking for breakthrough. But maybe what you've really needed was the resilience that's being built in this very season. Because when the shift comes, and it will, it won't just change your circumstances. It'll reveal who you've become in the process. And that version of you. That version is ready. That version can carry it. So hold on. Stay faithful. Keep walking even when the road is quiet. Keep believing even when the evidence is thin. When the time is right. What's meant for you won't miss you. What's been delayed will be delivered. What's been blocked will be broken open. And what's been heavy on your heart will finally start to make sense. The turnaround has already been written. All you've got to do is not give up before it gets here.